Hello world, my name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
My name is Raph, and I also love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Warning, the Game Treasure Podcast is not for children or anyone with a brain for that matter. Welcome, dear listener or viewer. We have a great show for you today. It's officially spooky season. I know we had an episode come out in October already, and it wasn't spooky. It was about MMORPGs. Timing is hard. But now, we promise it'll.
Getting old is spooky.
That's true. But today we're kicking off spooky season correctly with the newest installment in the Silent Hill franchise from Konami, Silent Hill F.
Mm-hmm.
We all beat it. Hooray! So we have a bunch of shit to say. Don't worry if you haven't played it. We'll have a spoiler-free section of the conversation later, and then we'll have a spoiler section because we got to talk about what the fuck happens in this game.
With a big warning.
If you've played it like us, then I bet you also are eager to hear what other people think what the fuck happened. But before we get into that, we're going to start our episode off correctly, as we always should, by having the Megabuck and RetroGameTreasure.com take us back in time with this week's Retro Zone game. Buck.
Let's go back in time. That's right. You've already guessed. It's
Yes.
Blaster Master 2.
Yes, the famous Blaster Master theme song.
Actually.
No, the game that you do have, if it is what I think is a very good game.
And that was only partially a joke, because this game is thought to have also originally been developed as a sequel to Blaster Master.
Wow.
Sunsoft, because it reuses assets and reuses sounds and reuses perspectives and variants of weapons. A lot of people think that it was being developed as Blaster Master 2, and then they got a big license over at Sunsoft. I'm talking on the NES, and I'm talking about Uncle Fester's Quest.
Oh,
Hell
shit.
yeah. Okay, it is the game I thought.
It's spooky season. Yeah,
Sorry, Fester's Quest.
Yes.
Does it say what year it came out?
This came out in 1989.
89.
In the US.
When did the first move? Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe this game came out before those kick-ass Addams Family movies, the Tim Burton ones.
They
right?
actually made a Super Nintendo version of that where you play as like a chibi-looking Gomez.
That's my one funny anecdote about this game, is that it came out before, like, Addams Family was like a comic strip and a black and white
based
cartoon
on the
and shit.
1960s like black and white
TV show.
sitcom.
It's so funny. You're like, they got a really big IP, and it was like, well, not yet. It does become one later.
So the reason why that happened is because the Addams Family had a weirdly huge following in Japan.
Huh.
Really?
There was even talks of making an anime in like the mid-late 80s.
Whoa,
that
that
never
would
came
be
together.
That would be very good.
There is
Yeah,
more
the
than
creepy
one
and
Addams
spooky.
Family game for the NES.
That's
This
right.
is also
that
made
one
in Japan.
is based on the movie.
Right,
That was
right.
one of the latest. That was one of the late NES games. There, I think you've checked that. It's probably like 93 or something.
Something like that.
Which
yeah.
would have been
Describe
just
the gameplay of Fester's Quest, if in case
hard
anyone hasn't.
AF.
Yeah.
Yes.
This game is actually very short, but it's so effing hard
You wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So let's break down the synopsis for you real quick. If you've never played Fester's Quest, one night a UFO arrives and aliens abduct most of the residents in the city where the Addams Family lives. Grandmama predicted the invasion, cast a protective spell on the Addams Family house, keeping them safe. Gomez is staying back guarding the house, and Fester's going to go out and stop the aliens, and all the family members for some reason are hanging out in other houses all around the town. I don't know. They give you special powers. You collect a bunch of items, different weapons. You know, this is the game where Fester has a gun and a flame whip, like from Castlevania 2. That makes sense, right?
Shoot bullets
Just like that one
Contra.
episode of the
Yes,
that
exactly.
one episode of the Addams Family where he shoots everybody. You remember that?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you get
Shoots
items
everybody
and
dead.
other things from the family members. Most notably, one of them gives you the invisible potions, which may as well be a mistranslation because they make you invincible, which is one of the things as a kid would have been confusing. You can cheese like every boss in this game with the invisible potions by just taking one and then smacking him in the face over and over again with a whip or whatever gun you have.
That's funny as hell.
The biggest problem is that at the very beginning, most of the enemies are just extreme bullet sponges. I mean, there are blobs in the first dungeon that even if you have an upgraded gun, you're shooting them for like 4 or 5 solid seconds before one of them dies, and they respawn other blobs. So,
and it doesn't help I've never actually played this, but I've seen a lot of like footage of this game. Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm convinced they didn't play test it before they released it.
No, definitely not.
The bullets actually, when they hit a wall, they stop. And there's a lot of sections where it is actually impossible to shoot what's in front of you because
that's because most of the guns fire in a circular or a wave-like pattern. If you're playing like Metroid, where you have the wave gun, so you're in this. Raph's exactly right. You're in this tight corridor firing a gun that curves back and forth, and you only get like a U shape out of it as it hits a wall. And paired with that, it's kind of sort of a shoot 'em up at its core. Because of the way it is, it's a top-down one.
For sure.
Which means by shoot-'em-up rules, what happens if you die?
Oh, God, you got to start all the way back at the beginning.
When your guns reset.
Oh, and your guns reset. Not to mention that goddamn Fester moves so fucking slow. She's so fucking slow.
I mean, to be fair, there's no enemies that move very fast.
Sure.
He just kind of trudges around the map. Even the boss. It's so funny because I jokingly call this Blaster Master 2. Yes, I am aware there's a Blaster Master 2 for the Genesis. It's a great game. But like when you fight the bosses in this game, the whole background is just black, exactly like Blaster Master when you fight bosses, and it's a top-down perspective. Oddly enough, though, the bosses aren't at the end of the dungeons. They're behind like locked doors in the large gray buildings. There's only 3 big bosses before the last boss, and when you go into the building to fight with them, any of you ever played Golgo 13 or any first-person dungeon crawler? I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When you go in those buildings, it is a first-person dungeon crawling maze to get to the bosses.
Makes sense.
That's interesting.
It's the weirdest choice ever.
Well, yeah, NES, I did that often. They'd put like 2 to 3 gameplay styles within a given game. It reminds me of Goonies
Contra
2 or something.
Yes.
Contra.
It was just an odd design choice. I agree with Raph. I don't think they really play tested it. This was at the height of like the Blockbuster rental, make it hard AF, so the kids rent it 2 or 3 times thing. So
this was never like an arcade game first, right, or anything like that.
Oh no,
right?
no.
Okay.
This is a Sunsoft churned it out in a year kind of title because they reused a lot of assets and sounds from Blaster Master, so they didn't have to recreate a lot. It's probably Aliens, so that they could like use scrapped Blaster Master bosses.
Yep. You know it is.
Oh, that's really funny.
I will say it looks good for an NES game. It's right up there, like with that Star Wars game where you're like, this looks pretty dang good.
And on a technicality, so no one dings me, if you say, Buck, it wasn't an arcade game. It was a Play Choice 10 game. You could have seen it in an arcade as a kid, but it was not like an arcade port like a Splatterhouse, for instance.
Right, there was no Fester's Quest cab with the
right.
giant Fester on the side.
The reason I ask is like they can't use the excuse of being a coin muncher. Like it's just hard.
Sure,
like, it's just straight up fucking hard because it's badly designed.
Fucking blunderbuss.
Yep.
Preferences wise, this is just a shooter. Yeah, is this
kind of sorta?
Didn't you say you guys have a subgenre for like licensed games? Or
we have a subgenre for like movie tie-ins, yes. And
but
so
this isn't necessarily a movie tie-in, right?
I wouldn't call it that, though. It almost has the same kind of curse on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's that standalone, but yeah, still cursed.
I mean, look, spooky season. If you don't own a copy of Fester's Quest for your NES, you should. It's like a staple NES game.
It is a staple NES game. The name of it just rolls right off the tongue.
Fester's Quest.
It sounds real good coming out.
I think they got rid of the uncle because in the splash screen in the game it does say Uncle Fester's Quest. This game sold 1 million copies.
Shit,
that's not bad.
Does that include Japan? Like, is that what you're talking about? They have an obsession with the Adams, or not an obsession?
I don't know if
they
it's
had a wave of
Famicom
popularity.
Actually, yeah, I don't know that, to be honest.
Well, go now to www.retrogametreasure.com, become a subscriber, and let Buck know that you have an NES and you like top-down shooters, right? I mean,
it's spooky season.
Is it an adventure game? No, right?
I don't remember. If I'm being honest, I don't remember which way it's classed because it really could be either.
Yeah, it could be. But either which way, you too could get your hands on a copy of Fester's Quest. Good luck playing it. All right. On the other side, we're going to have a conversation about Silent Hill F because we're about to get spooky up in here. Ooh. See you on the other side, listener. Okay, we're back from break, and it is time to talk about Silent Hill F. Wow. So we all beat the game. It took us all about a dozen hours, I want to say. It took me 14, I think, as my final playtime. You had the similar Buck, right?
Yeah. I did a lot of exploring as well, so yeah.
So, first of all, published by Konami, developed by Neobards, which I was like, who the fuck are these people? I looked it up. They did Resident Evil Reverse and Resident Evil Resistance, which were both online multiplayer Resident Evil games, which I was like, that's funny that they jumped ship from Capcom to Konami.
They were bad, too.
Yeah, they were bad.
Good. Yeah.
No. But I don't know. I just thought that was funny that they came over to help finish or continue the Silent Hill saga or what have you. Let's just dive right in. Like I said, we're going to have a spoiler-free chunk of conversation here, and then I'll warn you when we start to get into spoilers. Right off the top, this game looks really good. I made sure to go into my computer and turn it into the full screen and then turned off the frame rate cap. I suggest you do the same thing. I didn't realize it was on there. And then I turned it to unlimited and I was like, whoa, shit, dude. Yeah. This went from being a movie to being a video game. Gentlemen, off the top without spoilers, I guess my overall thing is it feels like a Silent Hill game again. Like it feels like they didn't fuck it up. Am I correct?
100%.
Yeah, yes. I think it nails the vibe, and it definitely belongs in the franchise.
Spooky, foggy town, check. Protagonist having some sort of psychological ordeal, check.
Right. Check.
Terrifying monsters, check. It's got Silent Hill all over it.
Yep. They didn't fuck it up, is what I'm saying.
They did not.
But yeah, I wrote in my notes, it does a good job paying homage to not only the sleepy scariness, but also some of the macabre scariness of the game. Without any spoilers, just letting you know, there's some graphic shit in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's moments where I heard, me and Raph obviously live in the same house, and there are moments where I hear Raph go, "Oh shit!" And I said, "Is this happening right now?" And he went, "Yes." And I went, "Yeah, it's a pretty rough one."
Like this the entire time.
I've got some bullet point questions here. Number one, world design. So what did you guys think about this? One takes place in 1960s Japan, which is a first for the Silent Hill franchise. What did you guys think about it taking place in 1960s Japan?
You go ahead first, Buck.
They nailed the aesthetic, first of all. Like, it really felt like you were in one of these. If you've ever been or seen videos of like those smaller villages in Japan where there's like zero rhyme or reason to the placement of buildings and the alleyways, I almost feel like some of those alleyways were bigger than they would have been in Japan. To fight some of the monsters. But that aesthetic lends itself so well to being able to tell a different story. I mean, all of Silent Hill games so far, for the most part, take place in modern day or close to it, or present day for when they came out, cell phone wise and whatnot. Right. And so I liked seeing something that was a slightly different time period, because it's still modern, right? It's just not cell phone modern.
Yeah, it's not ancient.
Yeah, it wasn't like feudal Japan. It wasn't like that Yakuza game they made where you were a samurai instead of, right? And so it was nice because it lent itself to that spookiness. Right, because everything is made of wood and everything is kind of dirty, There's
no technology to really save you. A lot of the, like, this isn't a spoiler, but like Shintoism is the national religion of Japan, and it's like their spirituality is pretty ingrained with their culture. Yep. And when you introduce technology, it kind of separates people from their spirituality. So putting this in 1960s Japan, like Buck said, everything's made of wood, as in like you feel very connected to the atmosphere of the place that you're in.
It's in
that was intentional.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was to say that was intentional. I feel that was 100% intentional.
It's an interesting choice to put it like just, a few years after the end of World War II. In this little town, like basically built into a mountainside, it still has like this like flavor of the old and then the new world that's coming up. It's this very interesting place, time-wise and location.
Yeah, I did want to, mention though that putting it in this time and place made it, for me at least, a little bit harder, I guess would be the word, to identify with. So I'm an American person in quote unquote modern times, and so when the game takes place in a mall or an apartment building like a modern one, or a hospital like a modern one, I it's easier for my brain to feel like I'm there. Whereas setting it in 1960s Japan, my brain couldn't quite make the identifying leap. Not to mention that the main character is female, which is not new for Silent Hill, but it was just another thing that made it to where I was just like, a lot of the stuff that's happening is stuff that I didn't grow up in a town like this. I don't go to places like this. And so it's not real. It feels otherworldly.
Yeah,
be that
right.
good or bad. I don't know. You decide. But that's my opinion on it. Yeah. But I will say that the world is so fucking. There's so many models of shit in this. Like you're running through the town and you'll look to your right and there's like what looks like a blacksmith's like area, and you'll go there and there's 1,000 fucking objects on every. So there's like clamps and then pieces of iron next to the furnace, and in typical survival horror fashion, you feel compelled to go fucking look at every single thing on the off chance that there will be a bandage there for you to use or something. And it's just, there's so many little cutaway areas that make,
there's just a bar of chocolate.
It's just a bar of chocolate in the village.
Did you guys run most of the game, or did you guys spend a lot of time just slowly walking? Like I found myself slowly walking through the town, just kind of trying to take everything in.
That wasn't your frame rate making you do that?
No,
Yeah, right.
no, the game actually ran really well, and I'll get to it later, but
Yeah,
there
the
is
last
one
boss.
point where the game did chug hard, and we'll talk about in the spoiler section later.
I will say that I did run through a good part of that just because I was thoroughly aware that it's Silent Hill and you should be running from most of the monsters, just because of like the durability system of the weapons. And this one does have a toolkit system in it where you can repair those because they're all simple weapons. Again, going back to that theme there, it's older Japan. There are no guns, so it's all melee weapons.
Right. And Silent Hill too. Silent Hill's brand of survival horror has always been swing a stick at Eldritch Horror. Like that's like basically what you do in every
You
Silent Hill
still
game.
always get a gun.
You do get a gun
That
at
is
some
true.
point. Yeah, that's it. That's true. Most of the games you do end up getting a gun, but I just I associate it with that. That's sort of like, oh my god, what the fuck is that? And then you swing a stick at it. You know.
I felt myself walking. It's funny that you mentioned that because the beginning of the game, I'll say this before I preface what the map is pretty fucking big.
Oh yeah,
The town that you're in.
It's huge.
And like Buck mentioned before, the streets are narrow compared to like the 4-lane highway you're walking on in Silent Hill 2 or something. Like you're in a bunch of alleyways that sometimes can be blocked with like a trash can. And you're like, well, guess I got to go around or whatever. But at one point, they're like, you do something and then they're like, all right, now go across town. And I was just like, fuck, that's so far. And then I walk normally in this game because I like to be cautious. And after 5 minutes of doing so, I said what you kind of said at the top of this episode, where I said, walking through a foggy town for 5 minutes with pure fear in my heart. Yep, this is Silent Hill. This is pretty much Silent Hill. I'm just walking around going, please don't anything come out. Please no.
Right. I walked because I was actually afraid of running because like you couldn't see too far ahead of you, obviously, because of fog. And anytime there was one scene in the beginning, this is not even like a spoiler because it's right at the beginning. There's one spot where you walk up to a little house and you're expecting to be able to check the front of it. And as you go to grab an item right at the front of it, something pops out of the corner and just scares the shit out of you. And I'm like, well, this is why I'm never going to run. I'm always going to be walking real
That's
slowly.
why I didn't run either. So in that regard, the hiding, running part feels very Silent Hill-y. The other aspect of Silent Hill everybody loves, the puzzles.
Oh my God.
Yo.
Fire.
The puzzles in this game are some of the most fantastic ones I've ever seen in a Silent Hill game.
They're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They're really... they're like LSAT level. That's the law school exam or whatever. There's moments where your clue is a diary entry from a young girl.
Yep.
And it sounds like prose or something, right? Or like a poem. And you're like, how is this a clue? And there were moments where you had to literally, like, I wrote this, I'm going to try to not spoil it, but there's this, my favorite one was the puzzle with the mannequins in the mist.
The scarecrows.
The
Yeah.
scarecrows.
And you're having, the scarecrows.
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're having to figure out, you're supposed to interact with one of them, but if you interact with the wrong one, they'll attack you. And then you have to obviously fight them back. And the only clues that you get for figuring out which one you're supposed to interact with are just like these sort of cryptic, like I said,
Context clues from
what it'll be like.
Yeah.
usually the clue will start off with, "Can you imagine how I feel?" And then it'll say like, "I have to look at your face all day."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the guy, so and so's on a run to and then you have to like look at where all the mannequins are placed, and like the
But a lot
first
of them are wearing masks or have masks on the back of their heads.
Yes.
The first
and they have
one
different expressions on their faces.
I genuinely did not get it. Like the first one, I just kept pulling and pulling
Yeah,
and having
you
to fight and fight and fight. But then on the second one, I had a moment where I went, "Oh my god, I see what they're saying. Oh, they're looking at each other."
When
and
you
oh my
betrayed
god,
me
okay,
because you were being-
okay.
The whole clue there. What difficulty level of puzzles did you guys play on?
Hard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Me too.
The locker codes
I
puzzle.
love that. That whole section
Really
is my
fun.
favorite section of the game, honestly.
The middle
yes,
school.
The
Really?
middle
The
school
middle
is my
school.
favorite portion of the game. Yeah.
Oh,
I like the middle school too because it felt like there's a lot
Peak
of this
Silent
game.
Hill. Yeah.
A lot of this game takes place in houses.
Mhm.
You go to your house,
Love
and
it.
then you have 3 friends, and you go
That's
to their
my favorite
houses.
puzzle.
Right,
Your house near the end is my favorite puzzle.
But it's only when you go to the school that you interact with what I feel like is the prototypical archetype of a Silent Hill place, which is just like hallway, door, door. And you're like, fuck, anything could be in any one of these.
and at the end, staircase at the end, telling you that there's an exact copy of that floor plan above the floor plan that you're in.
Yes.
It
To
felt
me,
like the
I agree with
apartments-
Raph. I got to that part and I went, now we're cooking.
Yeah,
Now
it felt like
I'm
the
talking,
apartments
yeah.
in Silent Hill 2. That's like the first. That was like, and you spend so much time in that in Silent Hill 2. And the same thing with this one. You spend a good amount of time in there. That section, I don't know if it's considered a spoiler, but it has one of my favorite scares in the entire game too.
There's quite a few in that place.
Which I don't know. Is
Save
that,
it. Let the
Yeah.
person
You want me to
be
save it?
scared.
We'll save it for,
Yeah,
we'll save it for the spoiler section.
You know
yeah,
what's
I just
funny?
wanna- I can't wait.
You know
to
what's
talk
funny
about
about the school is because it's just a series of those puzzles.
it. Mhm.
I'll get into in our spoiler section, but I'm about 50% of the way through a second playthrough of this game.
Right.
You're in that middle school for all of 2 minutes on the second playthrough because if you,
You know all
do the puzzles on the same difficulty, you
Yeah.
just go unlock the one locker, get the key to the other thing, and there's no roundabout A to B to C to D to E to
Right,
F.
to
You
find
just
all
go in
the-
and you get out. It's so short.
That's funny. So I already kind of addressed that in the puzzle that I like most, the way they punish you if you get something wrong is by making you fight stuff. So combat
Which is
is
great.
not new to Silent Hill, but I will say they do seem to be leaning more in to the action gameplay, quote unquote, the combat in this Silent Hill.
Especially in the back half.
They make it less. They make you feel a little less useless.
Less, yes.
Get into the rest of it later on, but when you're fighting as Hinako against these monsters, they put a little bit of mechanic to it. And look, I know that a lot of the purists don't like this part about the game. They're not taking into account the fact that you're supposed to run from like 90% of the monsters, but they don't
Right.
take that so much because I think they're more than anything else. I think they're upset that it's not gatekeeping anymore. It's no longer saying you're supposed to be trash at combat, but this enemy's in your way, and you got to bash him 47 times with this pipe before you can get past him.
Some of the things that they added to your repertoire of moves that you can use when in combat, like the stuff that Buck is talking about, you have a pretty significant dash that you can use that uses a stamina meter that's also linked to your ability to swing your weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give you the ability to like enter this focused stance. And when you're in this like focused stance, you have this bar that is representative of your character's sanity.
It's perfect.
And while you are focusing, it slowly drains. Now, when you stop focusing, it'll come back to full after a couple of seconds. But if you take any damage while you're focusing, the max sanity will go down. And if you don't have any sanity at all, you can't enter this focused mode. Why is that relevant? Well, because when you're in that focused mode, there are moves that will sometimes be procced by the enemy that you can counter. Now, I will say that I wish the counter windows were longer and or that they did the counter moves more often. God damn it.
There's a shrine add-on for that
Is there? Okay.
to make that window larger.
There you go. There's on top of the ability to do that focus thing, they
the
give you, what are they, momoris? Is that what they're?
Yeah, the blank umas.
It's these badges that you can equip, and they'll do stuff like raise your max sanity, raise your max stamina, raise your max health, get a little bit of health every time you counter somebody.
It's basically an accessory slot for your character.
Yes. And you power up those stamina, sanity, blah, 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 by praying at the places where you save. And this is really cool. I wasn't a big fan of the combat, but I love this idea. When you go to those shrines, you are given the chance to enshrine the shrine with a
turn your items into offerings, right?
An offering, that's the word. And so some items will just be, they don't do anything but give you points, these experience points. It would be like the equivalent to finding a gem in Final Fantasy or Resident Evil 4.
Right.
But also, some of your items that can like heal you, for example, or give you back stamina or whatever, they can also be given to the shrine to give you more XP.
Yeah.
Which to me is like really smart when it's a survival horror game, because you're always having to manage your stuff anyhow. And sometimes you have too much stuff and you're like, I'm at full health. I don't need to heal. I'm just going to take this sugary sweet and put it in the shrine to give myself some more XP.
Yeah.
So I can possibly soon upgrade my max stamina or my max whatever.
Or the amount of accessory slots you have.
Exactly.
You
Or
end up
the amount
having
of
4 or 5 accessory slots. When
those
you max that
badges,
out.
you can have more than one if you level yourself up by praying. The only other thing you need to like level up your stats is one of those like prayer boards. I can't remember what they're called, but
Emmas.
yes, it's just, if you've ever been to a Shinto shrine, it's like a piece of slatted wood that you write a wish on and then you pay money and whatever. So you collect those in the world. You can up your stats. You can get more badges, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I like that. I thought that was a really cool, smart addition to the whole managing your inventory anyhow. Did you guys have any other things you wanted to cover before we begin spoiling stuff?
No.
I wanted to point out the fact that it's not dark as fuck all the time in this game.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, for sure.
There are
And
day scares in this, which is cool.
I think that's a positive
Oh, I
because
love it.
it's almost like a shitty old horror movie that's not very good. And I'm not saying the old Silent Hill movies are bad. I'm just saying they rely on like stuff jumping out of the dark at you to scare you. That's what they rely on. And this is almost like a well-crafted horror movie where the scares are, pieced together through nicely scripted, in-game scenes and things that happen, like Raph said, when you go reach for an item around a corner or something else. It's funny you mentioned about those things jumping out, scaring you a bunch, but this game has really good sound design.
Oh my god!
If you play with the volume turned up loud or with headset on, you can sometimes hear those guys around the corner.
This is perfect, actually. Yeah, because I missed this. First of all, when you said reminds me of an old movie, the soundtrack of this game is fucking awesome. It sounds like a Japanese sci-fi movie from the 60s.
Yeah, like that scratchy violin-y sound when the monsters are kind of
just
following
like
you.
they've taken sound effects that are sort of like famous in the Silent Hill universe, like the sound of an air raid horn, and translated them into Japanese folk instruments. So like the famous like of Silent Hill gets replaced with like one of those like slide flutes, like whee, and it's like, oh shit, because they're in Japan. That's fucking cool. Yeah. And they do that constantly with stuff like this.
You get the same feeling and aesthetic sound-wise, but your brain immediately realizes that these are folk instruments making these sounds instead of electronic things.
Right. So I didn't check before. I should have checked beforehand. Did Akira Yamaoka also do the soundtrack for this game? Do you guys know?
I'm a bad person. I should have looked that up as well.
Damn it.
Yeah, because he's done that up. Well, I mentioned
I'll
that.
Check that out. I'll check it
when
out.
you said and there's these in that puzzle where you're solving with the mannequins. There are mannequins in the area with you that obey Weeping Angel rules.
Oh my god.
And they will only move when your back is turned to them. And that shit is fucking scary every single time you turn your back and you hear their fucking feet move behind you in your headphones. It is terrifying.
Yes, it is Akira Yamaoka, by the way. It's very interesting because he's used to making rock music, and it's interesting.
Yeah, but if you look, he collaborated with Kensuke Inage.
Cool.
Who, so that kind of, that's really cool.
Yeah, a good choice. Just they've leaning into like it's Japanese. Like we are Konami, we're Japanese. Why are we trying to make games that take place in America? Like let's just make a game that takes place in Japan. You know
I kind of appreciate that authenticity, honestly.
Me too.
Writer who really just like I said, we talked about when this first got announced that he did that When They Cry series, which is very much so Japanese folk. It completely makes sense that Ryukishi Zero Nana did this script because it all clicks. If you've ever seen that anime,
yes, the Grave of the Fireflies or whatever.
When They Cry.
when what's the Higurashi no Nakokoro ni? Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When cicadas cry or when they cry.
So with that, that's kind of a perfect segue because let's talk about what the fuck happens in this fucking game.
Let's spoil it in how many minutes, Mac?
Yeah. Okay. If you don't want any spoilers, go ahead and skip
25 minutes
ahead. So
we haven't done that.
Okay.
In a while. That's fun.
What? Okay. Where to begin with the spoilers here?
I got it.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
The biggest spoiler here is that this is a girl transitioning to adulthood,
right?
Who doesn't want to. She's fighting back against becoming an adult, losing her innocence. The doll following you around all over the place, saying, "Don't trust this, don't trust that." They're not saying don't trust this or that. They're saying you will lose a piece of your childhood if you step over this threshold, if you do this thing, right? And so from the very beginning, this game is basically saying that when it introduces you to her sister, who went off and got married, and they never see her anymore, and everything else, and they hide her face at the beginning on purpose from you, only for you to learn later on that she became part of X Clan, which was just a representative of her marrying her husband and losing her identity.
Yeah.
This is this girl struggling with losing her identity because she's becoming an adult, and more later in what that gets into.
You know, it's funny because that actually makes a lot of sense, because near the end of the game, when you have to run back to the house, one of the dolls says to you literally that line, "You can't stay as you are."
Yep.
And that's when that section where you're fighting all the boss. So that makes a lot of sense. That's interesting.
The craziest thing about this Silent Hill to me has been the realization that every other Silent Hill I played, I was still basically a child, or at least college age.
Yeah.
So the not just maturity, but the reality of the way that adulthood and the world was still kind of new to me. So when they talked about in Silent Hill 4, it's Cheryl escaping from the womb and wanting, having separation from her mother, and it's James with the guilt of his wife, because all those fucking themes went over our heads because we were still kids, right? 20 minutes into this game, and I'm like, this is a person struggling with responsibilities of being an adult. Like, it clicked right away.
Not just even that too, like if you add on the layer of her being a woman too, like, because it reminds me of the movie Men in a lot of ways, the horrors of womanhood. Like there's even a couple of hold on, there's actually a couple of notes in your journal that really like hammer this home for me. When you find the spawning monster, the pregnant one, the one with all the pregnant bellies like hanging off of it. Disgusting.
So
yes,
gross.
absolutely. But
if
you read its journal entry, it says, it spawns monster after monster from its dreadful smelling clumps of flesh it drops, filthy, foul, and repulsive. Yeah. The wonders of birth do not apply. That's the one that you see in the real world, the one with the festering things. And then the one in the dream world also has this right here, which is a monster covered in swollen skin, crawling mounds. It spawns more and more horrors. What a vile show of life. I'd rather die than turn into a monster like this.
Well,
go ahead.
That's because the second half to this story, and once you get to the second half of the game, and realizing that not only is Hinako betrothed, getting married, but it's an arranged marriage by her father, who's a drunk and owes people money from his failed restaurant, so he sold her off. Right? And so the second piece of that puzzle for her is she's already seen what happened to her sister, and that's going to, air quotes, happen to her. And so you're exactly right. Her as a woman in that second half, now she's not only struggling, the responsibility of becoming an adult to her, this is 1960s Japan. The responsibility of becoming an adult to her is having to get married and become a wife and lose her own identity. Right. And so part of going to the Fox shrines and not being yourself, and I apologize, Mac, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll go into that. But that's her as a child and her as an adult. Her in the dark shrines, I think, is her transferring over into adulthood, and that's why there are multiple scenes in the end where they exist in the same place and where they fight with each other. There are multiple endings to this game, which I'm going to get into at the end. I'd like to a little bit, Mac, to explain it to everybody. But the bottom line of that is that there's the 15-year-old Hinako and there's the 20-year-old or 20-something-year-old Hinako that are at odds here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so in my honestly, that makes. I didn't put together that it's not your sister's wedding that the massacre takes place. It's your own wedding.
I didn't actually get that either. Yeah.
That is
Yes.
that is at her own wedding. Her sister's wedding.
She goes
is
nuts
long
at her
since
own
happened.
wedding
Right.
and stabs some people, and then
She goes nuts at her own wedding. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna
I've
say.
talked a lot.
Okay, so
I took a lot of notes. I really enjoyed
no, you're
this.
good.
No, yeah.
I went into this game. I think I was predisposed by playing Silent Hill 2 recently to assume that this would be some sort of. It would be themed around mental illness and or depression and or psychosis.
As Silent Hill wants to be.
During
is a little
the
bit too,
gameplay, this is I'm not trying to be a dick when I say this, but I felt like there was so many themes going on that it felt not focused. Like like Mac, what do you mean? It's like, okay, so at the beginning of the game, you're basically dealing with the fact that like your friends are not the people that you think they are, and secretly they hold grudges against you. And then there's a lot of talk about like letting go of your past, and that is good, and that your character wants to do that. So
But
then I was
that's
like, okay, so
becoming
this
an
game
adult,
is
what
this
it
game
means.
is about growing up. That
Yeah.
makes sense, and you're having to get rid of your friends as a child. But then they're like, and also your father is an abusive drunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well that's like another thing. That's a different theme about growing up with an abusive relative, right?
is.
And then also, fear of abandonment is a thing that comes up a lot in like one of your friends' worlds or whatever, where you end up locking her in the darkness, and your character goes on and on and on about being forgotten and being lost in the woods and being lost and like not being able to be found.
Mm-hmm.
There's themes of depression and mental illness in some of the logs where she's talking about I've always been a bad kid and people always this and that with me. But then there's also themes about actual curses happening. You find notes where people are like, oh, this family is legit cursed. I told you. And so I just kept going like, pick one. pick one thing that this game is about, game, because now
there's even
what
more.
I'm getting is this girl has the worst life ever. She has alcoholic family members. She has backstabbing bullshit friends.
Yeah.
She's too big for her age, and so she gets picked on for being a big girl who doesn't like girl stuff. She's dealing with, it was just like, oh my God.
Are you
it's like
ready?
too
Are you ready?
much. Yes.
It's because all of the fears of adulthood made manifest. She
That
didn't
kinda makes a lot of
necessarily have
sense.
all of those things, but those are all real major childhood traumas and or adulthood themes and problems that happens. Cycle of violence through a violent parent, fears that carry over into your adult life, and crippling depression and everything else. And so I don't necessarily think they were saying she had the worst life ever and that's all these things, because we don't know how much of her past was necessarily true into the future. When we get into the thing about the family members and the husband, it actually gets even weirder, because it turns out it's actually a cult that preys on kids with. I don't think all of those things happen. I think those are all fears manifest. It's Silent Hill. It's not a place. It's a state of mind. So all of those things happen, and all of this gets rolled up with a big nice bow on it when you get to your second playthrough. Because
I was gonna say, before we get to that,
Mm-hmm.
just first of all, that honestly that makes a lot of sense. The dark world.
Yeah.
The transforming spoil. We already said big spoilers here. You basically get turned into a fucking werewolf at a chunk of this game. You're a werefox, if you will.
Yeah.
And they
Fox
do this
may cry.
thing where they do the thing that a lot of survival horror games do, which they say, hey, listen, we know that you've been incredibly powerless this whole entire game, so now we're going to make you feel really strong by giving you a weapon that doesn't break, and it's a giant claw
'Cause it's
monster
you.
arm. It's so fucking cool. And then you get the ability to like transform, make your arm even bigger to do these big, huge things. And there's a moment in this game where that happens, and then you fight this character that's a representation of your friend, and you kill her. And I was like, that's the end of the game, because you have given me has to be. And then no, you fall to knock unconscious, wake back up, and you're in this other not dream world. And then something there happens, and it made me go, now that's the end of the game. No, and then I
think what was happening was each time that was happening, you were giving up a piece of your childhood, the arm, the face, the branding on the back. You were slowly letting go of your childhood, which meant killing off one of your childhood friends.
Yeah. Well, and she was giving up her autonomy too. She says that straight up. She's like giving up the ability to like make decisions. She's giving it to the fox.
Well,
to
again,
make the decisions for her.
They're not just saying going into adulthood. They're saying going into adulthood in 1960s Japan as a woman.
Exactly. Right.
So they're saying not being a child anymore, having to worry about everybody else's needs instead of yourself, having to marry your husband and be subservient to him. Oh, by the way, he's in a cult too. But all those different things. And killing off the friends is killing off the childhood.
Yeah.
When you're the big white demon at the end, and you kill your parents, are those the other two people that get killed in the cop report when he says a bunch of people got killed at a wedding, and then the person went to a house and killed 2 more people?
That's what I was assuming.
I think what happens there at the end, again, big spoilers there, but there's a great post-credits scene where you hear over the radio police calling in, and basically at her wedding, Hinako has gone crazy, killed her sister, killed her friends, killed her betrothed, whatever else, and then goes and kills her parents there too.
Which I think that's what's happening when you're in the dark world, because spoiler, there's a fox guy who's like walking you through the ritual. You exchange rings, literally. So it's like, okay, so this is the guy you're getting married to.
This is a mixture of so this all ties back to the red pills that you take all throughout that gave you, whose family is the medicine men in the town.
And they like to use ancient medicine, and then there you find the catalogs about the red flower that keeps going everywhere is a type of medicine, but it's also attached to rituals with gods, and it can take you again, more stuff where I was just going, you gotta pick one game. This is a lot of stuff, man.
Actually, if you read,
is that why the pills are red? Is because they're made out of those flowers?
What's the name of the white flower in Silent Hill?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry.
The white flower from Silent Hill, the white Claudia. It is hinted at in one of the excerpts that it's really rare and it grows on the mountain near that herb where they extract what they use to make those pills.
Right.
So it's a tie back to that, the whole water source getting tainted Silent Hill thing with the white cloud. And so that's just one more way of them tying it into the universe of that thing. Because what happens is it's a psychotropic, right? It's making her, it's calming her down, but it's also making her see things. And so I think it's another parallel of killing off your childhood friends to kill off your childhood in real life. Actually kills off her friends because she's in a freaking drug-induced crazy haze and doesn't know what's going on, right? Because I'll tell you right now, when you beat the game, you have to get the base ending, right?
Yeah.
You can't get any different ending. To get any of the other endings, I think besides the UFO one, which I'll touch on.
Oh, there's the UFO ending in this one. Hell yeah.
Yes, it's awesome. There is one criteria that ties pretty much all of them together. And that is, you cannot take any red pills.
I was about to ask you. I was like, I don't know, because I read online somewhere, someone talked about not taking pills on their run of the game and how some things were different. Okay.
So just so you know, the red pills are the first healing item that you get from the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And you cannot change anything on your first ending by not taking them, and they really are helpful when you get hurt a lot. So that's why they're so plentiful. You now have learned that the red pills are bad, and they're what are causing you to go crazy and being part of making your mental state even worse than it already is, right? And so again, and you get to the end, and like Max said, Raph said, you get a brooch from your fox husband during that first playthrough. Never before have I played a game where the second playthrough almost just feels like a real extension. The second playthrough of Silent Hill F feels like the upside down castle in Symphony of the Night.
Oh, wow. Shit.
It's the same game, played in the same places, but with different things going on.
Huh. Fuck.
So right out the gate, it drops all of like the tutorial shit because it's well aware of the fact you just did it for 10, 15 hours.
Yeah, you're playing New Game Plus, yeah.
Whenever a cutscene is playing, you've already seen this. You want to skip it, right? When you go to press the skip button, because you have to press and hold it, it'll actually pop up and say, there are new scenes in this cutscene. Are you sure you want to skip it?
Whoa.
Because things change Perspectives, Mac, you love this because perspectives change. They add in flashbacks and flash forwards to things because you have already seen it. There are scenes early on where you see the fox husband helping you do things that you know happen later, only for them to happen differently this time because you are literally stuck in your own nightmare. But by not taking the pills, your perspective is more clear on the things that have happened already and are going to happen, and giving you an opportunity to change some of those things.
Wow,
Dude, it's
Right?
almost like we only played half the game.
Dude,
Right.
in the first 10 minutes, you come across a house that I am almost positive was locked the first time around, and there's a bunch of extra items and a weapon you don't normally get till later, and everything else, things that would have happened there later on that are different, and you can go in there and do those things. When you get to after the initial dark shrine sequence, you keep all of your fox powers. You have the powered up fox arm like right out of the gate.
Nice.
And the game is like, look, it literally pops up with the screen is like, look, you still have all your fox powers, which is going to change X, Y, and Z. But now you can do these things and do them differently. And by the way, you're going to be able to unlock some areas that you didn't even realize were locked before.
Because the fox mask gives you the
Yeah.
fucking wall melting vision and shit.
You're trying to, you start to, and furthermore, most of the notes you find, unless it's pertinent to a puzzle, like 90% of them are gone, either replaced with or in place of in different spots, completely new additions to the lore.
Wow.
You learn that first house you go to, it's Kotoyuki's house, the husband.
Oh.
He is the little boy that she met when she was little for like a week
In
and
the
moved, and
playground.
then he moved away.
Yeah. Well, then she protects the rabbit,
That house
which is your
locked
friend's
up.
favorite animal, and it's the friend that's jealous of your thing. And
Yeah, that house is locked up. You get to go in that house. You get to read about his medical history and then how he suddenly got better because they delve a little bit deeper into that cult, and he's actually part of a cult that marries off their kids to these maidens with these powers. That
Wow.
one, I'm sure, has a parallel to something else in there, but I hadn't quite figured out. Like, again, something else to adulthood, like maybe the equivalent of, like, marrying someone with big tracts of land or something,
Yeah.
funny like that. But it already pieces together those items, and it jumps you more into the lore, and you find more letters from your friends, you find more letters from your parents, and more things that jump in, more stuff in the school. So it treats it like a replay where it knows you're going to be going through it differently, and areas are going to be
Wow.
I can't remember the last time I played a game where I really wanted to play that second playthrough because of those kind of reasons.
I didn't
That
want to,
is-
but now I do.
I was gonna say that's kind of a perfect segue. Let's give our closing thoughts on
Yeah.
this game. First of all, Buck, I can't believe you got this much from this game. I'm truly impressed. This is you deserve a
Dude,
snob
you
hat of your
shed
very
some
own.
light
I almost
on
thought
this
about saying
one.
I have
Yeah.
a beret. I'm going to put the snob at.
Oh my god, that would have
Arg.
been amazing.
Yeah. It makes sense if you watch the show. Buck loves puzzles. He loves the idea of a huge sprawling area, and the idea that there are clues out there that he hasn't found makes him horny.
Yeah, wait until you learn about the sacred
I'm not
sword.
like that.
Wait until you learn about the sacred sword and the multiple endings.
I know. I've tried. I looked for the sword.
Sacred sword.
This is my because there's the sword is buried underneath the tree, and then if you go to the millennial thing and the thing, but how do you get under the?
But then you have to bless it. And then it changes the last bosses of the game. This game actually has like 4 last bosses.
Oh my god.
Wow.
There is a last boss where adult Hinako is fighting the fox demon, her husband. And then in the water, the reflection of childhood Hinako, and the whole world flips itself on its head because you're simultaneously as childhood Hinako fighting off Monster Shu.
Whoa, Monster Shoe.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Because he was your childhood friend. He was your partner. He was your best friend, and you have to let him go if you're going to become an adult.
Because
And
he
you're
was
going
like
to go
also
be
the
a
guy
mom,
maybe
and
you
you're
had
gonna
your
get married.
first crush on, kind of. They allude to that.
He's also
but then
kind of
you
your
didn't know
drug dealer.
Yeah. he
Oh,
kinda
true,
is.
'cause his
So
family-
it literally is like a 20-minute fight that kees turning through the reflection of
Wow.
yourself fighting your demons.
20-minute fight is a good pinpoint of the thing I didn't like about this game. Okay? So this game is awesome. In the Silent Hill franchise, it's one of the top 3, I'd say. However, there are too many moments in this game where you are forced to fight things. I am kind of Buck's, in Silent Hill, you usually run away from stuff. To me,
Well,
my
until you
favorite,
don't.
and my favorite and best things about Silent Hill is like when it feels like a Universal Studio Halloween Horror Nights like ride where I'm just walking through going like, ah, and then I run and like, ah, that's what I want. But I'll say this, that's true for the first 2/3 of this game. But in the last third of this game, man, they make you fight so much. And I really didn't like it. I really was just like, Konami, do you think this is the part of the game that I'm really horny for? Like, I know this sounds crazy, but the puzzles in this game, I want more of them. Like, to swap out half of these fights for literally a Rubik's Cube, and I would be happy. Like, just like stop making me fight so much. Some of them are so good and like like you said, the house at the end where you're going to three different versions. It's just like
my favorite.
This is awesome. The only thing I don't like about it, all the enemies running around. Where it's just like, don't make me fight them. And I
ran from 80% of them anyway.
I can ran from a lot of them, but the ones where like the guys with that have like the fungus growing out of their head that glows and they walk on all fours and they bark like a dog.
Yeah.
Those guys are such a pain in the fucking ass to fight.
Did you use the kitchen knife? I'm convinced the kitchen knife is stronger than any other weapon. Yeah,
I
fixed the kitchen knife more than anything else.
But just like the stress of
it's
dealing
another
with,
allegory for being an adult woman.
The stress of dealing with, that's true. The stress of dealing with managing your weapons durability and your sanity and your health and your endurance, all while being jumped by like 3 guys in a game where you're not exactly Ryu Hayabusa, okay? You're moving pretty awkwardly and pretty slowly, resulted in a lot of moments where I would just like, I don't want to do this. Like, it's just like, honestly, I just want to do puzzles in the scary zone. Like, why are you making me fight so much?
That part of the game, because you could actually technically avoid the monsters in there pretty well. For me, it was the sections when you had to run, like for example, when you had to run back to your house, or when you're running through the town, where you actually have to fight everything to progress because there's a big blood wall in the way, and then you kill everything, and then the blood wall goes away. Those parts,
I didn't think it was okay. I thought it was like, why is this in here? Just let me
give me a little
go.
Less of that.
Because we gave you the choice to change the difficulty to story if you didn't care about the combat. I mean, I think that's what
did play it on story.
Well, yeah. So
the combat.
So I played both.
There's one. There's one easier than that. I think.
I played both. I played story combat, and I actually played the hard combat as well. I can't imagine playing the first half of this game. I was able to like fight my way through it and do the combat. It was actually very fun. I actually did like the combat in this game. It feels very the fight with Sakuko felt like a fight from like Sekiro or something like that. It was actually kind of cool. It was very fun. But I can't imagine doing the back half of this game on hard mode with the combat. Like
it's not just it's not the shining gem of the series. It's like Max said, the puzzles are. And so the puzzles I want to be hard. The combat is already going to be clunky on purpose. They made it a little less clunky with some mechanics.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not supposed to be the highlight of the series.
I feel like they added those mechanics, and then they're like, so we can add more fights now, right? Because we made it a little bit better. And it's like, no. Like,
I guess just, what
2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Like
with mid-ass combat like that, like I
don't want to do it that much.
Don't make me do it at the end. But that's my only complaint about the game, honestly.
That's my only enemies. There were a handful of enemies where if you just stood there and waited for them to do their combo, they would open up and let you just waylay on their ass.
I didn't find that. I find that I would be in my focus mode, and I'd be like, all right, do the thing I can counter.
Nope.
Do the thing I can counter. You're not doing it? Yeah, okay, I'm going to unfocus. And then this moment I unfocus, they do the thing I can counter, and then I get thwacked by them. And
well, you didn't have to be in focus to do the counter.
No, you don't, but it makes it easier.
It makes it easier for sure.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
And
it was
stamina
just like,
afterwards, sure.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just... Like I said, it's not Ninja Gaiden. Don't make me fight so much. Your puzzles are literally the most amazing puzzles I've seen in a horror game. The atmosphere is so scary. The fact you don't even have to put an enemy there, and I'm scared. So don't put him there. Like you don't need him there.
So this is a bit of a tangent, but like we're in the spoiler section. I do want to talk about my absolute favorite scare in this game.
Ooh.
Okay, so in the middle school. You get to the middle school, you realize you have to find the key to go upstairs, and you realize the vice principal has it. He's a gardener. It's somewhere outside in the garden, right?
Yeah.
So you go outside, you do your thing in the garden. There's one part where there's like a chicken coop in there. Yeah. You go into the chicken coop, and I look to my left, and I realize right behind the gate, there's one of those scarecrows all twisted up. I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, I don't remember seeing that when I walked into the chicken coop. So I leave the chicken coop, I come back around. that fucking mannequin is not there anymore.
It's gone.
Okay, all right. So then you go, you do your thing. I'm like getting goosebumps now thinking about this. All right, so you go, you do your thing. You come back into the school, and when you come out into the hallway, it's full of goddamn mannequins.
Yeah.
That shit made my skin crawl.
Yeah,
Like,
it's great. It's great. And it's like a gauntlet of them.
It's such a good scare.
It's like,
and then
it's like that nurse scene from the shitty Silent Hill movie. Where
The
it's
coolest
like,
part. The coolest part is you can run right past them all,
yeah, they don't do anything.
and that's
but
what you
then-
have. But as they're slashing at you, that's the fun part. Is you going like trying to not get hit. I don't want to turn and fight them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buck, put a cherry on this conversation and just, I know we already, you love this game. Tell us, just end this for us.
It's definitely an amazing game. I just appreciate the fact that a Silent Hill, maybe I'm crazy now, that a Silent Hill game like finally clicked with me. Like it all made sense as the
love
story
that.
was getting told.
I love
You
that.
can say whatever you want about the combat. I think most of the people that are saying it's not a Silent Hill for some of those kind of reasons are just being a little bit gatekeepy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth listening to them.
Yeah.
I would definitely give this game a solid 9 out of 10. It's just it's a phenomenal game. It's a great through. I know you were feeling like it was dragging a little bit, Mac, just because there's a lot of content, but 12 or so hours for a survival horror, I feel like is like the perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
I feel like it was just the right amount of length that if it had been any shorter, I would have felt ripped off, and it had been a whole lot longer. They made it longer through this second playthrough, and I think they should get an accolade for that alone.
Hell yeah. Well, I think that does it for our conversation about Silent Hill F. In general, we liked it, and I think it stands tall amongst the pantheon of Silent Hill games. So if you like Silent Hill or you're looking for a scary survival horror game to play, this is a good place to spend your money. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do a quick what else you got and head on out of here. See you on the other side, you fox demons, you.
Hated my father. I didn't really like my mother either.
Okay, we're back, and it is time for our What Else You Got, the segment of our show where we can bring anything to the table. Today, I just wanted to mention that besides Silent Hill, the only thing I have been fucking playing religiously for the past 2 weeks or so has been Zelda
Hell yeah, dude.
Link's Awakening. I finally got the battery fixed in here so I can save now, and I am 4 out of 8 dungeons in.
Cool.
This game kicks ass.
Oh, absolutely.
This game is so fucking good. Like, it's like the quality of life things from Zelda for the NES to this Game Boy fucking Zelda game is incredible. Like, the Pegasus boots from the Super Nintendo Link to the Past are in here. The different, like, bracelets that let you lift various things. Like, there's and then it's hugely long. I've been playing for the same amount of time I've been playing Silent Hill F at least, and I'm only halfway through this bitch. I cannot stress enough how if you have a Game Boy, you fucking need this game in your collection.
That's awesome.
Zelda Link's Awakening, not even the DX color one with all the extra dungeons or whatever. Just this one is long enough to be a fucking full-fledged Zelda game. I've talked about it before, but I have never actually gotten as far as I am now. And yes, this game, so fucking good. I
Wait
love it
until
so
he
much.
discovers Oracle of Ages seasons.
I played that one when I was a kid. I probably won't replay that one. Those ones are pretty good, but I don't know. There's just something about the simplicity of Link's Awakening because, again, still just regular Game Boy. You just get that nice low poly feel. It feels so fucking good. And besides that, I picked up a reproduction card of Pokemon Blue that my girlfriend is playing through that I'm watching her play and having a fun time doing. She beat Brock with just a Metapod and Bulbasaur. And she went into the fight and I went, well, no, you have to have different guys and more leveled up than that because you're not gonna be the gym leader. And then she put Leech Seed on his Pokemon and then switched to Metapod and just hardened and hardened and hardened. And I was just like, well, you're not gonna win. And then it turns out in the original Pokemon, Leech Seed keeps going even if Bulbasaur's not in there. And she beat and I was like,
Oh
okay,
my
well,
God, dude.
she's learned nothing. She learned nothing from that interaction. Great.
Or everything.
All right, Buck,
about
what else have
cheesy
you got for us this week, sir?
Oh baby, it's MagFest announcement season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm wearing
yeah,
my
yeah,
good
yeah.
luck shirt because, spoilers, kids, I did get a hotel room on the island, unlike most of you that are complaining on the internet right now.
The island? It's on an island?
Yeah, National Harbor. Yeah,
Oh,
it basically.
I didn't realize it was
it's
an
like
island.
It's a harbor, peninsula, whatever.
Okay.
I guess it's not completely surrounded by water.
Okay,
so it's
okay,
not-
okay.
But we call it that because it's like Disney Springs.
Mm.
And Hot and Heavy, the Megas, Bit Brigade, Rebecca Sugar, who did all the music and wrote Steven Universe, is going to be there with her band
Shit.
doing music.
And Adventure Time music.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Adventure Time music in the later seasons. But more importantly, in tandem, announced this past week, the Proto Men have said that Act 3 is actually coming out in January, which means they don't even have to be announced to be a MagFest because we know they're going to be there. In the year of our Lord 2025, we have gotten Act 3 before we got GTA 6. How about them apples?
Is that based? They do the music for the third Mega Man game? Or no? What is Act 3?
Proto Men are the guys that are like, so their albums are literally called Act 1, Act 2, and the third one has forever been referred to as Act 3. Act 2 came out in 2009.
Whoa,
Oh, wow.
So it's been 16 years since Act 2 came out, which if you've ever heard Act 2 by the Proto Men, it is a fucking masterpiece. Just forget that they are a Mega Man themed band. They're like the second coming of Queen, and I do not use that term loosely. They are just a phenomenal band, the way that they orchestrate everything that they do. I mean, they sound like they're straight out of the 80s too. And this third album, I've already heard like 4 or 5 songs off of it because they've been teasing them for years. I've heard them play them live a couple of times, and they're all just continued banger. You could have just like plopped them right into 1987 and they would have been a top 10 chart topping hit.
Hell
It's just the overall arcing story is post-apocalyptic robots, Mega Man save the day kind of thing, but it's more about about Proto Man than Mega Man, but you get what I'm saying. I'm just so excited because that means they're going to be at MagFest.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I already pre-ordered the album. You can pre-order it on Bandcamp.
Nice. Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
Yeah, I got a game. So the autumn sale on Steam has been going on, and I took
yes.
the opportunity to pick up a few games on the cheap, and one that I've been waiting to get for a good while, and that is Nine Souls, released May 29th of 2024, published and developed by Red Candle Games. This is a Metroidvania Sekiro-like. It's like if you took...
Cool.
So I expected this game to have like some cool Japanese-inspired action, kind of like a Hollow Knight, but like with like samurai and stuff. What I got was a ridiculously cinematic, mature-ass sci-fi cyberpunk samurai action game. I know.
Superhuman Cyber Squad?
Dude, I had no idea that this was a sci-fi game.
What was the name of it again?
It's Nine Souls. 9 and then SOLS. Souls.
I see that.
Dude, holy crap, man. I started playing this game the other night, and some stuff, I'm not even going to talk too much about the story because like some stuff happens like really early on that I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like it actually like made me kind of like sick. I was like, oh God, that's gross.
Wow.
And the combat feels fantastic. It's pretty tough. I mean, it's a Metroidvania sort of Souls-like, Sekiro-like, so it's going to be kind of hard. Very high emphasis on parries in this game. Kind of like Sekiro. The combat is very quick. Yeah. You can do this thing where you have like a combo, a standard kind of combo with your sword, but a lot of the combat is you parry and then you dodge forward and you drop like a talisman on the enemy, and you can hold the button that you do to drop the talisman. You like warp past them and then they explode behind you, which is really cool.
Hard.
It's a little tough. Yeah, it's a little, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little tough.
You were describing it while I was watching the character like tip, 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 tip. Like,
you kind of get used to the combat, and the parry window is not as tight as something like Sekiro or even in Night Rain when you're playing as like the executor. When you play as the executor, like the parry window is fairly tight on that. It's not as tight as that game, but it's still it feels fantastic. Wow. It looks gorgeous. Cool. The music is great. Dude, check it out, man. It's a good game. It's a lot of fun. I think it's on sale right now for maybe like $14 or something like that. $9. It's good.
Yeah. 9 Souls. 9.
9.
Well, with that, we conclude another episode of the Game Treasure Podcast, guys. Thank you so much for listening or watching, dear listener or watcher. Do us a huge favor. Like and subscribe if you haven't and you've come this far. Also, tell your friends about our show, why don't you? It really would help us a lot. If you are just listening to this podcast via your favorite podcasting app, may I suggest that you head on over to YouTube to subscribe to our channel there. Because we post a bunch of funny little shorts that you can watch on the toilet, and because we stream over the weekends. I myself am about to play Baldur's Gate in just a few hours. Tomorrow, Raph will be playing some scary games, I believe, now that October has started.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, go check us out there and jump in that chat and talk that shat. Also, Mr. Venacor is not here today, but make sure to go check out his streams on Twitch. And does he do YouTube as well, or no, just Twitch?
Just Twitch.
Just Twitch?
Mm-hmm.
He's back to his regular schedules, which you said is Monday, Thursday?
Mondays and Thursdays around 9:30 Eastern. Playing a lot of Dead by Daylight and Hunt, and we played some of that Ratatan as well, the musical game this past week.
So go check him out on Twitch. Enter that chat and talk your shat as well. Head on over to our merch store. Also, we would love for you to do that. You can find that at our Linktree, Linktree/the GTP, where you can also find our Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can support us, support the show, and you get access to a special UFO 50 deep dive series that we have on there. It's 7-8 hours of us talking about every single game in the UFO 50 collection. It's very funny and a good time. Linktree/the GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find their music on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you can find music on the internet, frankly. And, of course, last but not least, we need to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck himself. Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that takes the hassle out of collecting retro video games. So no more hunting to the one janky retro game store that has 4 games added in your town, but it's actually 30 minutes away, and then you get it home and the battery inside of it is dead, so it doesn't work, so you got to go back to the store to get them to fix it. No. Instead, you just become a RetroGameTreasure.com subscriber. Tell Buck what consoles you have and what kinds of games you like to collect, and then every month he packages up a little custom box for you filled with games for those systems and those genres for you to keep and add to your collection forever, ever. And don't worry, he keeps track of the games that you have and the games that he gives you, so you never get a repeat game. So start collecting games the easy way today with RetroGameTreasure.com, you dingus. Buck, hit me with this week's new subscribers.
This week we welcome Justin Joseph, Caleb Stimmel, James Mullen, Daniel Brown, and Brandon King.
Thank you guys so much. It really helps a lot. We sincerely thank you. Until next week. My name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure Podcast. It's so bad.
It's so bad.